Yeah, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Young Entrepreneurship Leadership Conference, popularly known as YOLEC. Um, in the last 5, we've had engagements with young people, basically on entrepreneurship, and so many topics has been looked into. For the first time, we've had physical engagement before the COVID-19 period, which really had um, made many people key into the virtual library or the virtual aspect of life, which is often I would not want to restrict most of what we were saying to Nigeria as a country, but we'll just make it an all-round a global discussion because the way our time and things comes up in Nigeria is totally different from other countries, looking at the timing and every other thing. So we've had physical engagement for the first edition, we had physical engagement second edition, we had physical engagement third edition, we had physical engagement the fourth edition. The fifth edition actually coincides with the COVID-19 period, and we could not have a physical engagement. So we had a virtual program. Many of you will agree with me that as it stands now in Nigeria, and like other countries of the world, COVID-19, people are still suffering from the aftermath of which we call it COVID period. Now, talking about post-COVID period, what are we saying? We are saying that many people are still trying to come out of what the pandemic period actually caused for many people. So because of that, this edition will also be held virtually. We are going to be looking at a very, very germane topic because we believe that we need to constantly engage people so that we'll get it better. Not just Nigeria, many countries are not where it's expected to be, and they are trying to get better. But we use Nigeria as a case study because I'm sure most of the participants here today, 70 or 60%, those watching on YouTube and those on Zoom Live can agree with me that we need to constantly engage. And this can only be the reason why things can get better. Constant engagement just to show that we continually talk about our challenges, we continually talk about our problems, and doing this, we would get to a situation whereby things would be where we want it to be. So because of that, I want to welcome you to the 2022 edition of Young Leaders Entrepreneurship Conference. And then we'll be looking at a very germane topic this year, entrepreneurship in the global age. We are going to break it down. We are going to use various languages to ensure that people understand what we are trying to say. You get to hear from different angles. And looking at the challenges faced by developing nations like Nigeria and some other countries, you see that most of the trends today is about how an average young person wants to leave Nigeria in search of greener pastures. People in Ghana, people in Sierra Leone, and so on and so forth are also taking this route. And you would agree with me that if you are the avid person that reads newspapers or you follow what's going on in the news, you see that there are various economic challenges facing most African countries, countries like Ghana, countries like Sierra Leone, countries like Malawi and so on and so forth. If you find out, you see. And it doesn't even just stop at that, but it is really a time where many people are battling with economic challenge. And when we look at the order of the day, what are we trying to say? We say that many countries, many young people are trying to move to developed countries, moving from Nigeria to US, moving from Nigeria to Canada, moving from Nigeria to UK and many other countries. So we are going to be looking at a very, very germane topic here today, which is going to be what we call Japapreneur. And I'm sure that many people will be wondering that what is more common that people know about is what they call Japa. Which one is also Japapreneur again? Now, if you look at the word, it's coming like two words together, Japa, then Preneur from the word entrepreneurship. So as we have people who are traveling to look for what to do, we also have people who are already engaging in business in Nigeria already and want to relocate, and yet they don't want the business to die a natural death, and they are bringing up ideas in order to make the business better. I'm going to give a lot of examples on people who have done that and how you can go about it and so on. So today we've looked for the best, and when we say the best speakers that can actually address the issue. Today we are going to be having a tech guru and someone who has contributed immensely through his organization in the area of technology, in the area of training, and in the area of enterprise. Talking about no other person than Mr. Jesse Ogabu, who is the project lead of AnyPro Global. I'm not going to do much advertisement for AnyPro. I'm sure that when the project lead comes up, he's going to also say one or two or few things about what they do at AnyPro Global. But they are really doing a lot in the area of tech. And today he's going to be talking about a topic: unlocking global markets, leveraging on tech. Today you see that technology has taken over every sphere. Technology has really revamped everywhere. And you see that more of the jobs that you can find in developed countries like UK, countries like US, countries like Canada, are jobs that has one or two things to do with tech. There are also jobs for other categories like caregivers. There was a time I saw one recently on looking for a graphic designer, health workers, and so on and so forth. But you see that the biggest part of what people are looking for are developers, people who understand technology and who can use it, UI, UX design, and so on and so forth. So because of that, today we are going to look at the right skills that you can add to the already acquired skill that you have that can make you to fit into the global market. Because today, whoever you are, wherever you find yourself, your aim should just be about the global market. That is where you can get what you deserve. If you are looking at what you deserve in Ghana, if you are looking at what you deserve in Sierra Leone, if you are looking at what you deserve in Kenya and so many other like that, you might not get it. But if your eye is on the global market, you might even get more than what you budget for. And those are one of the things that we are going to be talking about as far as unlocking a global market, leveraging on tech by Mr. Ogabu Jesse. And after that, we are also going to be looking at taking another step forward by also listening to Japapreneur, which means that for as many people that already have a particular skill in Nigeria and love to travel out of Nigeria and we still want to keep doing what they are doing, yes, there are ways, there are things that you can do to make sure that that dream is actually actualized. So all these things are going to be what we're going to talk about. But I've been able to let you know that the essence of this YOLEC Hub is to help young people in the area of leadership and entrepreneurship. And this has been one of the major four of why we are actually organizing this event yearly. And I can say that without much ado that we had the first edition of the program. You can see from the picture you are seeing, at that time, we are still trying to understand how we can come in for the young people. And we called it the first sparkling conference then, before it's now metamorphosed into a young leaders entrepreneurship conference. And in that picture, you can see the convener who was a little bit more younger at that time. And you see the chairman of the conference, that is Professor Bina Chuku. He's the professor of marine. And then you can see him having an handshake with Dr. Ruben Abati, who was then the spokesperson to the president of Nigeria, President Goodluck Jonathan. Today, he works with Arise TV, and you can see them in a handshake. And after that, we also had, you can also see so many young people there. You see Toby Fletcher, is one of the people sitting at the front, is the popular guy called the Father Boy, and so many other young people here. But I can tell you that out of the people that you are seeing in this picture, I can still remember that 2 of them are still in Nigeria, but every other person that I'm seeing here, most of them have relocated abroad. For you to see that young people are not just staying somewhere, you can also see some other pictures of people who were there at that time. It doesn't also stop at that. We also have some other people that we've also invited to grace the occasion who are there with us. This is Mr. Sheni Adetu. This was the MD of Coca-Cola. He became MD of Coca-Cola when he was 30 years. This is Mr. Sheni Adetu. And he became the MD of Guinness when he was 40. And he left Guinness around when he was around age of 45 or so on. So you can read more about Sheni Adetu. He was the keynote speaker of that particular year, and he spoke extensively on how youth can leverage on competitions to be more better in what they do. And you see some of the participants at the program, and you can see them. These are happy participants smiling because they actually got. And you see that one of our speakers then today, Mr. Jesus Gabu, was also in this picture at that time. This was around 2018. This is 2022. So I believe you understand one or two things, more things about the establishment of this program. So those are the pictures. And you see many other people in this picture that are also joining. That is the Vice Chancellor of Elizade University, Professor Kari Ahmud, is also in this picture. If you look at it very closely, as well as young people. So this program has brought together tech people, professors, academics, young people, businessmen, and so on, just for the aim of ensuring that we get it right in Nigeria. And it doesn't also stop at that. We also had another edition where we have the Ogun State governor. Now is a former governor. This is Otunba Gbenga Daniel. He was the chairman of YOLEC edition, the 4th edition. You can see him actually in that picture, and he was actually there to encourage young people, tell us a lot of things that we need to know, and how people like them find themselves in politics, and they're also in business. There are so many conglomerates in Nigeria. When we are talking about the company that really focuses more on selling lift in Nigeria, the Crane Masters. You can find Otunba Gbenga. And when we are talking about people who understand business of hospitality, is also one of them. So he was able to share so many of the ideas with us during the edition. And you can see other people that were also at that. You can see the convener and people, some of the volunteers that were at the program, that also ensure that the program. This is the current enemy chairman of in Lagos State. He's also a medical doctor, and he also has a foundation. He's also a young person, just clocked 40, and he has his own businesses and so that thing. So these are people that have participated. And you can also see in that picture, Dr. Adebisi, that's the head of entrepreneurship at the University of Lagos. You can see seated beside him is an engineer with Mobile. He was also at the program, and this is Car 45 CFO, who was also there to tell us about how they have been able to use technology to leverage on what they have. Those are the participants of the program that we had at that particular time. So the program has actually been going on for quite some time. But because of the much challenges the country, the economy is facing, we decided to make it a virtual program. And for those people who are unable to join, possibly they are also watching us on YouTube. And I believe today we are going to have the best of ourselves. So without wasting much time, we will terminate at this particular time. Just give us a little profile about the first speaker, Mr. Jesse Ogabu. But before we bring Mr. Jesse on board, we need to understand that when we are talking about an entrepreneur in the global market, we have all it takes to be a global entrepreneur, even if you are in a developing or a developed country. What am I bringing out in this perspective is that you have e-commerce to work on yourself, you have technology to sell your market, you have all it takes to be a global person. But all the things that you need to be a global entrepreneur is with you. You don't need to leave Nigeria to Ghana for you to be a global entrepreneur. You can actually be in Nigeria and sell your market to the audience in Ghana, to the audience in Sierra Leone, to the audience in UK, to the audience in United States of America, and so on and so forth. All these things are things that we need to understand that we are going to be talking about during today's program. And then how can we do this? We can do this by tapping a lot into the world of technology. So that's that. So talking about the first speaker, I have said it that we are very lucky to have Mr. Jesse Ogabu as one of the speakers. Well, he is a graduate of the University of Lagos, and then he's a subsea engineer by training, and he's also a managing consultant by practice. He has over 9 years of experience, and his experience span across business strategy and many other things. He's a tech guru as well. He started NEPro from the scratch in the last 5, 6 years, and the company has grown from being, I don't know how I'm not the accountant of the company, but I understand the company has grown to have a romance with the 3 zeros and more, and it's going on. Maybe we'll tell us more about how the dollars and the sports has increased from now. But to the glory of God, the biggest HRs in the world, when you talk about the biggest HRs in the world, I don't want to mention their name because of, but I'm sure you will talk about one of them, has been trained under NEPro Global. And it just doesn't just stop at that. If you look at more of the people that are on their faculty, these are international figures and people who have really gone very far in their career. So please put your hands together and let us welcome the first speaker for today's edition of program, Mr. Jesse Ogabu, who is going to be speaking about unlocking global markets by leveraging on tech. Mr. Jesse, you are welcome.
Thank you so much, Tosin. I just want to confirm if everyone can hear me, and you can also see my screen, just to be sure.
Yes, I can see. If I can see, meaning that you can see. Most of the...
Oh, okay. Yes. You can also drop on the chat box. That would also be nice for every other participant on the call. If you are unable to speak, kindly drop on the chat box. And thank you, Tosin, for that very warm introduction. I'm actually very humbled. And I also want to thank the YOLEC team for the privilege to be speaking at today's 6th edition of the YOLEC Entrepreneurship and Leadership Conference. It's a very big privilege, and I don't take it for granted. Thank you, Akeem. But I must say, do I have any other person that would want to allude to? Okay, thank you so much, Godwin. Okay, every other person you can drop your boss, but I think with this note that I have from Akeem and then Godwin, I think we can take the conversation forward. Just to also mention that I will spend the next 20 to 25 minutes on the presentation, and then I would allow the next 20 minutes for questions and answers, because I believe that that's where we'll be able to answer questions from your hearts, or the questions that you have down from the presentation. I'll be speaking from a more on a strategy standpoint, so that it helps us know how we can navigate, at this time. So most of the things you will hear me discuss is more on strategy, because I feel that, of course, we have different, be it an endeavor, be it an interest that we want to venture into and want to begin to break frontiers. So you will just need one or two answers to some questions that you have. I think I would be able to answer those questions. I don't know what they are at the moment. So that is how that's how I'm structuring my presentation. So 20-25 minutes on the clock, I'll be discussing, running you through the slides, just a few of them, and also giving opportunities to, being that you're on this platform today and you have interest in upskilling yourself. I'm privileged to be able to share that opportunity for those who be interested in upskilling in different areas, to give that opportunity for everyone who connects. If you have your friends who are currently on this call, be it students, maybe you're also just new into your profession and you want to get into gain diverse skills, there will also be opportunities that you'll be able to latch on by being on this program. This is a personal thing that I'll be doing. So if you have your friends who are not here, please get them in, because it's just going to be for only those guys who attended today's session and then who are also interested in perhaps upskilling to be able to get global opportunities. And when I mean global opportunities, it's not just saying it. It's actually a real stuff. Okay, just a big thank you to Tosin. I will just do a brief about myself. My name is Jesse. I'm currently lead programs at NIPRO Academy. I also manage products, one of an ERP system that we built in-house. Of course, because we train people on tech, we build tech solutions, build an ERP. I also train on design thinking and digital transformation, stroke change management for CIPM. Some of my skills are continuous improvement. I'm an avid I have deep interest. I'm always concerned about continuous improvement. That's to say also that as soon as we're done from this section, it will also be nice to share feedbacks with the organizers of today's event so we can know how to improve on whatever content we've shared with you and other areas. Also, I'm also very adept with data, HR analytics, as well as strategy, lean management, financial analysis, and I'm also very good in modeling and then management consulting. Well, these are the skills that I've decided to list here, but I still have more skills in addition to this. I just decided to limit it to this. And what would this tell us? It tells us that if you want to unlock global markets, via your skill sets, right? That's one area. And then perhaps if you're from the organization standpoint, of course, you need to be able to arm your people with very, very tough skills to be able to match the global market. Remember, we're talking about the global market. When we're talking about the global market, one thing that will stand you out is your skill sets, the kind of people that you have. Very, very important. If you don't have the skilled people to be able to drive that initiative that you have or that objective that you have on the global space, you will not be able to compete. So at that level, it is skills for skills, strategy for strategy. Okay. So let's get going. So my content would be around, we'll just define what global market is. So at least so we have a context on what global market is, and then we'll look at the why. Why do we even need to unlock global market in the first place? We'll look at the what, what do we need to do, and then the how, and how technology plays a key role. One thing to say that just to give you a context of what technology can do, narrowing down to social technology, because of course we all have access to social technology, our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the likes. Just to give you a context and open our minds to the data I'm about to share. Now, it took 13 years for traditional media houses to get 50 million users, right? look at the number of years it took. It took Facebook 1 year to reach 50 million users. It took Twitter 9 months to reach 50 million users. In less than 2 years or 3, if I'm not mistaken, it took Facebook 2 to 3 years, less than 2 to 3 years to reach 500 million users. And what does that tell you? It tells you that the people that you're looking for, you have them on your phone because globalization has come to everybody through digital means or through digital technology. So it helps you open your mind if you are perhaps you're engaged in one business or the other, or you have a skill set or the other. You have access to people. And remember, when we talk about globalization, it's around reaching people in different countries, accessing people in different nations, in different continents, no limitation. Take, for instance, this session is currently streamed on Facebook. And you can tell me just by you going on Facebook and sharing this video, you've actually made this event reach different nations because of why you have different people in different continents who are your friends, families, colleagues, and the like. So that's how it works. It's that simple, just understanding that basis. But the statistics I've also shared also helps you know that when you hear about the global market, it's nothing big or out of the ordinary. It's something that lives with you day in, day out. It's just for you to be able to recognize how to unlock it. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. So let's get to define what a global market is. Now, you will find out that you have goods, services, you have skill sets. So I would also be referring to your skill set as your service that you can offer. It could also be a product, you know. So we can refer to it as the products, which is you are the products because you have the skill set, or the services that you render, right? So now, the market in which goods and services of one country are traded. So this is what I'm looking at countrywide. Basically, what this is saying is that you've been able to get your goods, services, your products from one country to the other. There's no limitation, okay? So being able to do that, for instance, you are a graphic designer. Let me take one of the examples that Tosin mentioned, right? And then you want to be able to serve clients in other nations. You've been able to serve clients perhaps maybe in Ghana, you serve clients maybe in Canada, you serve clients in the US, you serve clients in Brazil, you serve clients in China. You've already unlocked the global market for yourself. That's what it means. So long it goes beyond your 4 walls. 4 walls are the environment in which you play, which you have physical access to. So now this is me speaking on a personal level. Now on an organization level, I want to break 3 things down. So sometimes you hear, the global markets, you hear the international market, and you hear the multinational market. So there are 3 distinct terminologies that I will be breaking down. And why am I doing that? So it helps you understand the terms. So when you're using the terms on maybe you are looking at international markets, and then you want to build some international strategies to be able to unlock or break into those markets, you then know what exactly you're trying to do so you don't misuse the term. You know, also terminology also matters where you're using it. If you're using terms like that, you know, where you are perhaps maybe the strategy lead in your organization, or maybe you are the entrepreneur. Of course, sometimes the entrepreneur, you wear different hats and then you're using this terminology wrongly. The market you want to unlock perhaps might not even accept you in the first place because you're not even able to delineate what international market is, what a multinational market is, what a global market is, and even what a multi-domestic market is. I'm just going to be breaking that down so that we understand what those terms means, and then we'll build it from there. So key thing is once you have your activities conducted through the networks, and digital means, like I've explained, you know, meaning that you are moving beyond your region. For us at the academy where I lead programs, one of the things that we do, one of our objectives is to be able to bring the word, you know, down to our fingertips. And I can tell you, for instance, I just left the session not too long ago. And then for all the sessions that we had faculties from, we just left London now. So you could be in anywhere, but you're having, imagine the faculty we had today was from the University of Greenwich in the UK. So what does that do? What does that do to the students? The students feel like they are in the UK learning. So that's globalization. That's how to look at globalization. So they feel very confident that they are learning from the best of the best. So you need to begin to move your thoughts around breaking, that limitation. If it's a limitation, or breaking that interest, if it's an interest that you are yet to unlock, okay, you need to begin to move that. And another thing I want us to understand that, like I said earlier, it is not as difficult as it looks like. Why? Because of digitalization. And that's why I gave that statistics on how these guys were able to penetrate, getting 50 million users. Having 50 million users on a device that you built, it's no joke. And when you can do that in 12 calendar months, when you can do that in 9 calendar months, you've achieved a whole lot. Okay. So I'm going to also, let's begin to break down what an international market is. Now, for instance, you have a business, you're a career professional, you are a tech savvy person, and then the strategies that you built for each of these things I've mentioned, it's around serving a local market. And then of one of the objectives that you've set aside, it speaks to an international market. So what does that mean? It means that you will develop an international strategy for that particular objective. So not necessarily saying that the entire objective is for the international market. It's just one of it. Maybe, for instance, you make shoes, and then what you want to do is you want to see how one layer of your shoe, or one aspect of your shoes, maybe it's a flip-flop, maybe it's corporate shoes that you do, maybe it's sports shoes that you do. So maybe it's a sports shoe, for instance, you want to be able to get to maybe a Ghana market, maybe the US. I know I used to have some friends who send shoes overseas. And then the strategy you are developing for that particular objective, it means that you are looking at that's an international strategy. As much as you are sending one item over to another region, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's a global strategy, because the strategy is actually a localized one for your local market. You're just picking out one item or one part of your objective to be able to, reach that region. So that's an international strategy. Now let's get to what a multinational strategy is. Now, from an organization standpoint, you have different interests or operations in different nations, at the same time, right? And now you are building strategies specifically for each of these nations in which you're operating. So take, for instance, company ABC or company named ABC has operations in Nigeria, Ghana, Togo, the US, Canada, Australia, and the likes. Now, they are building strategies specific for each of these different locations. So the kind of operation or strategies they build for, maybe in Nigeria, for instance, might not be the same strategy that they are actually building for maybe their US office or maybe their London office. At that point, it's a multinational strategy. That's how they're operating. So it's not yet global. It's not a global strategy, it's a multinational strategy. So let's get the terms really well. So perhaps you begin to build, maybe you're a strategy expert on this call, you're an entrepreneur on this call, and then you have access across different nations. And then you are putting these things together. What this session will help you do is just helps you, like I said, I was speaking more from a strategy standpoint. It helps you put these things into the right bucket, and then it helps you to be able to use the terminologies well and then run with it. Now let's come to what a global strategy is or what a global market is. Now what it means is that, so for instance, you have operations in these different nations like I've mentioned, and then you are trying to bring one strategy that would be uniform across these different locations. That is when it becomes a global strategy, or then you talk about a global market. So the first one is that you have a localized strategy or operations, and then you have one select objectives that you pick out of the entire objective that you have, okay, to be able to reach out to international market. That's international market, or you develop an international strategy. The next we talk about is the multinational strategy or multinational market. Of course, then what that means is, like I said, you have operations in different nations, and then you are building a strategy unique to the different locations or nations or operations where you are. Now, why is that unique? Perhaps you have competitions in which you need a specific strategy to be able to match them company for company or skills for skills. Remember, when it comes to business centric, one of your strategy could be the skills that your people have. So if you are looking at, take for instance, And it also helps us align, especially when you're trying to develop your skill sets. You know, you begin to think in a more general way. Now you have, for instance, maybe a Lagos or a Nigerian market, and then you have maybe the London market, you have maybe the Canada markets, and then you know that the kind of tools that will fit our market, maybe a Microsoft, just for instance now, using analytics now, maybe in the Nigerian market, what fits our environment is a Power BI, for instance. Okay, so the kind of strategies that you're going to be deploying in terms of skill set now, this is leveraging on skill set, would be that which is a Power BI, is Power BI agnostic. So the people in which you're looking out for will be people who have Power BI skills, right? Now, if you're looking at it from maybe if it's a US office and they use maybe a MicroStrategy or they use a Tableau, for instance, now the kind of strategies that you would use in terms of skills now, talent now, I'm narrowing down this to talent now, will not be those. I'm just trying to break it down so that we see this from a talent perspective so we can relate. You then begin to look for people or build competencies, maybe internally, for a Tableau, a MicroStrategy that fits that environment. At that point, the kind of talent strategy you are building, that's from an organization standpoint, is a multinational strategy. Okay. Now, for the global strategy or the global market, it means that you are centralizing this, you are standardizing your thoughts or your operations or your policies, say that what we are going to be doing across all our different regions is a Power BI. So everybody who's in school, everybody who's trying to get into organization needs to learn Power BI. So whatever they are doing in any country, it has to be what we are doing. Okay, so that's the difference. I don't know if I've made sense at this point. So if there are questions, let me just take them before I move to the next slide. I know I've got a lot on this, but I just needed to make that delineation. If there are questions, please, I will be waiting on the chat box to catch it. Are there questions? I'm just going to wait 60 seconds. I know there's a Q&A, but if there are questions, just very brief before I move to the next slide. Please, I'm working with time. Just help me if you have questions. Okay, I will presume that you want to take your questions at the Q&A session. Okay, so let's move. Now, when you're trying to unlock global markets, or maybe yours is an international market, or maybe a multinational market. So I'm sure that we know the difference now. You know, one of the things that you need to do, be it you that have skills and looking for opportunities across these different markets. Questions that you need to ask yourself: what are you trying to achieve? Okay, this is from a business standpoint. Now let's bring it down. Okay, I am looking for opportunities in you want to jackpot or you want to be able to earn in dollars, being that if I earn in dollars, I think it's a bit stable for me. What do I need to do? So you need to ask yourself, what do I need to achieve, you know, in an international market? For instance, you need to understand. So let me narrow it down to what I'm very used to, which is skill sets, right? You need to be able to build competency in data, maybe data analytics, for instance. And then you need to ask yourself, so this is on an individual standpoint now. You need to begin to ask yourself, what do I really need to achieve? What I will need to achieve is to become a data analyst so that I can get opportunities in maybe Canada, for instance, maybe a work from home or something that would avail me to be able to jackpot, relocate. I'm sure that the next speaker would really dwell on that, more on an entrepreneurship standpoint. So I'm dwelling on organization and skill standpoint so that we know where we are coming from, because I believe that people on the call who perhaps would need to get things from that perspective. I have a business, I have the skills, how do I move my stuff across? So if you have a business, so the questions you need to ask yourself, what am I trying to achieve in the international market? It needs to be clear. Now we know when we talk about the international market, now we know the difference. We know when we talk about a global market, a multinational market, what am I trying to achieve? You need to have that clear, written down. If you don't have that, then you've not started. The next is, what are my strengths and weaknesses for this market? So if you come to skills from a skill standpoint, what are my strengths? Oh, I don't have competency in a Python, for instance, for data science. Okay, I don't have competency in a UI UX, for instance. I think some of the European markets, in terms of skill set, really need guys who are very skilled in UI UX. I don't have competencies for that. So that's like a weakness. What's your strength? Your strength is that you have interest in learning it. So this is me narrowing that. So at different points, I'm trying to begin to, delineate just so that I can speak to your need, irrespective of what you're doing. So if you're someone who you're an entrepreneur, you want to break in that market, you have skill sets, you want to break through, you're here on behalf of the organization, So each of these different examples will be able to speak to your need, and then so that this session can add value to you appropriately. So like I was saying, you have deficiencies in these different areas, and this is what the market, and how do you know the market wants that? If you look at job advert, for instance, you see where interests, what kind of post do recruiters send, maybe on LinkedIn, maybe on Job Sparrow, maybe on whichever job my job mark and the likes. I don't know any of those anymore. But if that is where you go there and see the different kind of advert and the different kind of skills that they require, it tells you that I don't have these skills. That's a weakness. Your strength is that I can learn these skills. Okay, and then what do you do next? You ask yourself, how can I counter challenges? Learning sometimes is not easy. I can tell you that for a fact from experience with people who learn regularly, at least all through the year. I can tell you all through the months about interaction with people who are learning stuff, because I'm privileged by the organization that I am with. You'll find out that learning sometimes is not easy, especially when you are learning and then you are working, or you are learning and then you have some deadlines to meet, and it's not easy. So you need to be able to ask yourself, how can I counter this challenge? The next question is, what potential will I have in that market? So for the skills market, if I gain these skills, my salary will be $100,000, maybe a month, maybe annually. And then if I look at it, comparing that to maybe being in Nigeria, for instance, now, and then I'm earning $100,000 yearly. You know what that means? So you need to ask yourself, what potential will I have in that market? I'll be able to be competitive to be able to get these jobs. So I think I know of a friend who was working in one of these fintechs, and then he got an opportunity with a company overseas, or he's working in Nigeria, he's working from home, but he's earning. I know a lady who does maybe like a virtual assistant for some firms in the US, who monthly earns $2,000. All she does is to coordinate sessions. That's all she does. And then maybe reach out after the session. That's all she does. $2,000. And then you wake up in the morning, take bus, go here, come back, and maybe it's a 150K, 100K, and that kind of stuff. So if you don't know how to unlock this market, which is why you're in these sessions, you have that skill set and you'll not be able to, optimize. She's working from home. She stays in her house, coordinate those sessions every month, $2,000, pam, pam, pam. So the day you are complaining of dollars, she's smiling to the bank. If you say your dollars is 710, it increases her salary. It increases her salary. So you need to be out there to be able to see what skill sets, and also looking at these different questions. If you ask yourself these questions and you are able to answer these questions very well, it's going to help you, understand who have gotten these things. How did they do it? Where do you get the information? Information is key. That's for the skill for people in the skills brackets. Now, for business people who you want to expand, and now we are going to get into some aspect of the slides where we will look at why you even need to even unlock this market. But let me just give a teaser so that I don't preempt what we have. Sometimes you will find that in the market that you play in as an entrepreneur, it is saturated. It is overtly saturated. You bring the butterfly forces. I'm not going to go into deep strategy. And they begin to look at your new entrants, potential for new entrants. You begin to look at the threat for substitutes, and you find out across the cyclic, the different elements of the butterfly forces. You find out that there is threats everywhere. So the 1 minute you lose guard like this, you are done for. So what do? You need to begin to think of expanding globally. I tell you, if you're in that, if you're on this call listening to that, that's a strategy that you need to begin to look at. If you're in a saturated market, you need to begin to look at getting into maybe international markets for a start, because you might not be able to play global markets because you don't have those different operations in these different countries. But again, to let us all know that you can define your global market by perhaps look at 3 different continents, and then you pick one country per continent. For instance, Africa, Nigeria, Lagos; Europe, UK, London; North America, maybe Canada. So you can pick these 3 different nations now, because you need to be, like I said, what are you trying to do? You need to begin to narrow down, because you cannot serve the entire continent. And at least for a start, that we know, because we know the kind of capital that is required to do that. But if these are the different rituals you want to serve, right? And then we already know the differences between, I mentioned international market, whichever one that suits you. What do you need to do next? Harness the power of the digital technology or social technology. Let me narrow it down to social technology, social media. And then begin to look for locations where you have these people. Now, you find out that, for instance, if it is in South America, Brazilians are Facebook is very popular there from research. So if you're looking at targeting markets like in Brazil, you need to be looking at Facebook. Very, very important, because that's like a channel where you get most of your tractions from. Maybe you have skill set that you're trying to push. So if you're doing an advert, for instance, you want to target that region. If it's Brazil, if it's South America and Brazil, then you need to look at, I need to harness Facebook, because why? You will get a whole lot of people who will see what you carry, and then what you have, and then begin to, reach out to you. You can be in Nigeria serving that market. You've unlocked that market, and from there you begin to penetrate to other markets. So think about it in that direction. Then some countries might be Twitter. I can't remember. I don't know if it is one of these Asian countries, or I can't remember exactly which one more. Is it Canada or that is Twitter? That's their power. So if you want to unlock that market, you need to be able to target that region. You can use a VPN that you can use a VPN and narrow down through VPN, so that your region shows that maybe parts of that region, because you want to penetrate into that market. So these are strategies that we need to know. So you see VPN, you see when people shut VPN because they blocked our Twitter. Now you see how you can use VPN to your advantage. So these are ways in which you can unlock, that market. Now, what you see on the right is in Africa. And the research has it that between 2021 and 2022 in Africa, the number of fintech startups has grown by 3x. It's about 5,200. And current valuation is around $4 billion. And they say by 2025, it's going to triple. For Kenya, by 2025, it's going to be 8 times. So what does it tell you? It tells you that there is a lot of opportunities in that market. So if you play in the fintech space, and then perhaps you are doing very well, you should not be happy yet, because there is still a lot to unlock. That's what that data tells you. So me putting this data is I'm giving a summary of what's the insights from this data means. It means that you shouldn't feel too happy yet. You see, recently, I think CBN just gave Paystack some switch and licenses recently. You see Flutterwave. You see Flutterwave say they want to go and list in the US stock market. I think those are the news that came out of tech this week. What's it telling you? Of course, they are facing some constraints, maybe in Kenya, having some of their account blocked and the likes. But it tells you that if Kenya blocks our account, let's play there's space in the global market, and they are pushing because if you want to retain that dominance you have in a particular region, you need to think about breaking, through the global market, and that's what they are chasing. That's the summary of what they are chasing. So if you see this news and you read it and then flip your eyes over it, you need to ask yourself, what are these people trying to achieve? So I've just unlocked one. You can unlock others yourself. So let me just run through the other slide because I think I'm already running out of time. I'll be quick on this. Now, so why do you need to, why global markets? Now, if you see to your left, you see reduced jackpot syndrome. For organizations, if you want to reduce people, bowing down or bowing out, of your organization as an HR person, that's even if the HR is not ready to. I think there's a news that there was a memes last week that says that someone called his HR that will be coming by 10, and his HR say can come by 11. And they both met at the embassy. That's just by the way. So to be able to reduce jackpot syndrome, you need to think of globalization. Because why? Now, if you look at the topmost right, you see access to Forex. Now, some people are looking at, a lot of people are thinking of Forex. If I keep earning this amount in Naira, it's a problem to me. I will not be able to meet up. Perhaps because dollar will still get to 800 before the end of the year, even before the end of November. And what does that mean? It means that whatever earnings that you have at the moment, the value has gone down. So that's why people are actually pushing for, I need to jackpot. If the country is good, nobody will go anywhere. Perhaps they will go for holiday and come back. So from a business standpoint, why global markets? You need to think of setting up in different nations where you have access to Forex. And so what happens? So your market in Nigeria, for instance, can be, you can infuse a shock absorber. and then standardize pay such that people will not want to leave. Again, in terms of operations, you perhaps have to deal with a lot you need Forex to be offset a lot of bills. If you are able to, break into the global market, breaking into the global market is assessing either positioning by being present there or being able to, have people from that region buy from you. So if you're an entrepreneur, even if you're a business or organization, you need to have them buy from you, and then you own their currency, sort of, even if it's exchanged to your currency. At that value, you own it, and then you can meet up with the needs of your base in Nigeria. Then it saves you a lot. You can review your staff salary, and everybody will be fine to an extent, except people want more. And if you have a physical location in those areas, if they are moving, you just switch them over to that particular country, and that's it. So that's why you see the delineation, access to Forex, reduce jackpot syndrome. You need to think of global markets. So as a business person on the call, as a strategy lead, entrepreneur or what's not, one of the ways to be able to reduce jackpots, I didn't say remove, reduce, is to think of global market. And what does this do for you? Why should you be thinking about this in the first place? One, you need to stay ahead of local competition. Like I said, your market could be very saturated. I know where you know the country where you operate. Anything you do that blows or looks like it's going, everybody goes into it. So there's nothing you can do about that. But one way in which you'll be able to stay, competitive, because it also brings brand perception, is to be able to stay ahead of your competition, is to think of setting up, having a global presence. That's one. Another thing is expanding your presence too, is also very, very important. How do I, like again, for instance, for us at the academy, we had people learning from faculties in University of Greenwich. The students were very happy because it looked like they were in the UK, because it was the same standard. So you need to begin to think in that light. And it also helps you in terms of even your valuation too, to say that we are operating in this country, we have this. And it also helps, there's another thing why people stay in organization is the pride they get from the organization. So it helps increase the pride of your staff, in the marketplace or among their colleagues. They will stay more when they know that they have this kind of recognition, that they work for this organization and they are playing in this country, that country, in this country, in that country, and the likes. Another thing is to add foreign competition. Now, mind you, one of the ways in which when a company plays in a particular, maybe for foreign companies, they play in their country and maybe they are stiffed with competition, or maybe they even feel that they've gotten to the apex of the pyramid, they want to begin to expand into emerging market, because emerging market, there are a lot of opportunities, a lot of money to be made in an emerging market. Being a foreign organization, they know the gimmicks. So when they come with their weights and their weights in terms of capital and resources, because of course they are coming with for Forex, they can pay your guys, and the guys will leave your company and come to their company to work. So what it means, they've taken your staff. Brand perception, in terms of if you go to the market and see a foreign product and a Nigerian product, you want to first of all go for that foreign product. So as a local player, you are faced with very stiff competition that you might not be able to match them, because they also have money. They can crash their price down. And as soon as they crash their price down, your product begins to struggle. No sales. And how then do you keep on with production? You see how you can hedge foreign competition when you do that. But if you have a base overseas, as they are coming to your country, it balances it out, because you begin to compete with them in their markets, and then it stabilizes everything for you. The next thing is increase profitability. If you do that, of course, you have more income. For instance, if you operate in the foreign market and perhaps you have local earnings, and then you have, let's say exports. Exports could mean that you make shoes there, then you move it overseas. It may not necessarily be that you have. So I'm trying to narrow down so that everyone can find value, regardless of which of the categories you fall under on this call. And I'm speaking a lot around technology, because some of these things, to be able to do that, you need to harness a lot of technology, your social media, promotions, and the likes, to be able to access those markets if you cannot be there physically. And even if you are there physically, you also will need these tools to be able to get things going for you. So you have a base there. You know that for every dollar is 700 naira. You can get your products and then get the dollar, which means it's 700 naira when it comes back to you. Of course, you know what I mean? That's more money for you. So now increase the effectiveness of your products or services, because you want to either achieve standardization of your product. You'll be on your toes to ensure that your product is well put together. Now you find out people do Gary before, people just sell Garys in nylons, but now you see people package those Garys, you see the way, so you see what globalization is globalization that led to all of that. I see people packaging garage that you would just go, they give you one Congo before, they give you one paint. Now people package it, sell it in different stores and the likes. Well, even put address and the like. This is just a typical example of product effectiveness. That's just a typical example. Then customer awareness of your brand. For instance, you're in this market, these people know you. You're in that market, they know you. Maybe someone comes for a holiday, or comes for an engagement in another country. I know this brand, they're in our country. You see customer awareness. And the other person is speaking to in the other nation that you're struggling to, will feel confident on this brand. The next time the person goes, oh yeah, I know somebody that said they do stuff over there in that country. And that does that. Another thing, reduces cost and increases savings. This is speaking to economic of scale. You can have one region, for instance, some Apple products are done in China. And what does that do for them? Because they know they can get relatively affordable labor. So, and they're able to produce a mass. And then they ship back to the country or to different part of the world. What are they doing? They are saving costs and what's increasing savings. So it could be that for you could be producing in Nigeria. Maybe that could be affordable for you. Let me give a typical example. Some people overseas who are even running over to foreign countries, they still need Nigerian food. So people like or farmers online, can get their product and sell to them. That's exports. Exports to those countries. And there are even Africans, Nigerians who need this different food. They want to still eat their Ila, Egusi, and all those different local dialects. And all farmers online can then step in. And then what do you all farmers online do? Begin to export to them. Maybe someone coming in and or cargo unit over, or someone who is traveling, take this product across and they get their money. So that's how to think about is what happens. They're in Nigeria producing a mass, but they are not distributing. What happens? Because you know that once you have a lot of order, the same amount of money that you used to do to two products or 3 or 5 can be the same amount of money you used to do 20 sometimes if you understand what I mean. So what is it doing for you? You are being able to do something of 20. The same materials you use for 20 that you use for 5, you're not doing 20. It means that you save a lot and then be able to earn more money. So this is what this means. I'm trying to run because I still want to take questions. But if there are no questions, then I can come back to the slides and then just cement the conversation. Then, so what do you need to consider? Now, this is more, what you see on your slide is more on from a strategy standpoint. I'm going to break it down. Now, when you want to, get in the global market or maybe international market, but really around global market, maybe international market, could be international market. Maybe you sell cars and then you sell a brand of cars. You make cars, okay, and you sell a brand of cars and you want them to sell it to, you want it to be sold to maybe another country, for instance. So there are 2 key things you need to look at. One is you look at, okay, I see that there are questions on YouTube. Okay, great. Yeah, please more questions because some of these things that I'm sharing here are some things you will get. They're actually B-School classics. So it would be nice to take questions, answer your questions as best as I can. And then, so thank you so much. We'll take that. I'll soon be done. This is slide 3. Yeah. Control and risk. Okay, I see. How do I assess businesses that have interest in my location? Okay, I'll take that. So control is one of the things that you want to look at when you're thinking of expanding into global markets. Now, this is from a business perspective. This is not skills now. Okay, from a business perspective, you're looking at control. How to control me? When you export your product, we're going to get to the, I'll just mention I'm going to compress this slide with the next slide so that I take the learnings together. Once it leaves your hand to someone in another country, you might have discussions on the phone and the likes, but as soon as it gets to them, because you don't have a physical presence there. So, and we are looking at control and risk, you really cannot do much. Why? Because it's already got into them. All they get to you is maybe you say you want 10,000 from this product, for instance. You want 10,000 from this product. They can get there and sell it at 100,000. You have your 10,000. They've given you what you want. But now, in terms of keeping with the standard of the product, maybe how you shipped it and the likes and how you want it to be sold, the other you want in which it should be packed. When it gets to them, you don't no longer have the control again because it has left your presence, right? So those are things you need to think about and frame properly. Some things you can control, some things you can't control. So you need to know the one you can control and you're ready to let it go. But I'm just bringing this to our knowledge because we're discussing this. In terms of skill sets, of course, except you have a proprietary software that you want to sell to maybe to a foreign country, that you can then begin to do your licensing, do your patents and the likes. Aside that, there's really nothing much that you can control, especially when it comes to skill set. But this mostly speaks to business people, right? Then global marketing mix. Now, there are two terms we need to understand. There's what they call standardization and there's what they call adaptation. Standardization means that, so global marketing mix, I'm looking at it from 4 P's, okay? Your price, your place, promotion, and what's the last one? I can't remember the last one. I think there are 4. But let me just talk about price. Now, looking at it from standardization, now you are trying to expand into another country, be an entrepreneur now, and then you need to consider the pricing. And the pricing may stem from you trying to understand what do the people really want and how much can they pay for your product. How much do they pay for the similar product in that particular country? And another thing you need to look at it from a cultural perspective is, are these people willing to accept product that is not made within their environment? Some countries don't mind, some people don't mind, some regions don't mind, some do mind. So if you're coming into that market with a new product, you're testing their appetites. You need to look at your pricing. Why? It's because you need to be competitive. If you're not competitive, your product will hang, and then you will not be able to, make sales. So you need to think about that. Placement. So in such situations like that, you have to standardize, go in line with what you already say. Then maybe matches price for price, or maybe go down a bit if you can afford to go down a bit. Sometimes you might need to go down a bit to attract the marketing which you are sending that product to. Now, that's standardization. Now, let me talk about adaptation. Now, adaptation is these guys, they are open to change, or maybe they're even tired of. For instance, there are a lot of products here that we are tired of. Product, thank you, and Daniel. Yeah, products. I'm already even speaking about the product. I even missed the product. Thank you so much, Daniel. So they are tired of what they have there, right? And then they are open to something new. Like, for instance, in Nigeria, we are open to things that are new. You bear me witness for Nigerians on the call or Nigerians listening to me. Sometimes you just want something, you're just tired of some things. And that's why when you see a foreign product, we pick these things. They know that we need, for instance, cars. Yeah, cars. Mercedes, G-Wagon, Ford, whatever, or Lexus 570, the next one is 630. They know that we get tired of cars after we've driven it for 1-2 years. Give 2 years, you're tired of that car you spent 50 million on and bouncing about. 2 years, what is swear? You're tired. So they know. So the design, just change the lights and increase the price more. You see, in terms of price, they will win us in that area. So I'm just trying to help us see the way they think and how they play with our psyche. They know. When it comes to cars, a big man buys a car today, you check their garage, you see different kind of cars, because some of them, they are tired of it. They want something new. Or in terms of also to buga everybody, buga one, that kind of thing. They want something bigger, so they can tell their billionaire friends, that we bought something big or what's not. And then they come with just changing. It's just glass, so Lexus RX 300, Lexus RX 330, it's glass they are changing. Glass and body, just put one body, just put one glass, and then maybe one-on-one, they will just put one thing that can cool your water. And then that your water, and then they put price, and you see the winners. That's how they think. That's how they break into our market. That's the way they think. Okay, so you need to understand, because they've understood us. They understand what we want as Africans, as Nigerians. Some things just work for us. We get tired for in their region. They might not be too even crazy about cars per se. So even if you are an international player, you need to come there and they reduce your price to be able to attract. Else, nothing for you. So I'm just trying to get us to see how they think. So how would you know some of these things? Technology. Go to your phone and research the kind of lifestyle, the kind of, even on your Instagram, the kind of lifestyle that people in this region, they live, the kind of things that appeals to them. And then sometimes you also need to narrow down. It could be in a district, it could be in a province, it could be in a state. Just try to understand. For instance, there are about 50 states in the US. If the US are looking at, there are different states. And there are different, some places are for the elite, some places are for middle class, some places are for, and then when you are sending your product to these different locations, technology is helping you. Remember, we're talking about leveraging on technology. You also need to understand that technology is like an enabler. It's a path. It brings you to it. brings you to where you're going to. It's not the final destination. It takes you there. It's an enabler, helps you to understand. Perhaps you're not even there, but through technology and through some data you get online on the kind of things that people like in a particular region, you understand what appeals to them the most. And then having that knowledge helps you tailor your strategy to be able to suit that environment so that you can make sales. But at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is to make sales, reduce your costs, and improve your efficiency. These are the things you're trying to do. You're trying to make sales, reduce your costs, improve your efficiency. So you're trying to optimize your assets. You're trying to get your asset utilization to 100%. But if you have an asset, your assets could be, so you're doing backward integration, for instance, where you have to produce everything. You may not even need, maybe it's you doing it, your workers, and you have to produce everything and all of that. So that's like backward integration. You're trying to ensure that you're optimizing enough to be able to meet an external market. So if you're able to do that in terms of, when I say improving your efficiency and utilizing your assets, and then you're able to make sales at a reduced cost, having all these elements together, all these factors of production together, because they're all factors of production, it's a win for you. So that's how I want us to think about what I've said or what I'm explaining. I hope it's interesting. So how do you unlock the global markets? I talked about exporting, and I talked about the risks of export. When you export, sometimes the risk is control. You may not have control when it has gotten to the next market, or you may not have control. Okay. Franchising or leasing. Sometimes you see McDonald's, for instance, simple example, McDonald's, they know that they cannot operate in different locations at the same time as McDonald's. So what they do is they put out for franchise. Are you ready to get our name? Maybe we'll have 10% of whatever profit you make. And then another thing they do is you are going to produce the same McDonald's they produce maybe in California or in Chicago. It has to be the same thing. So that's another way. Okay, now would you know all these things? Through your internet. Maybe you have friends who live there, you chat up with them, with your WhatsApp, you see what technology can do for you, or you go on YouTube, watch different videos. Some stations, or even sometimes some of these stations you watch just shows the lifestyle of people in a particular region, and they like, so you understand, okay, what do they want? And then maybe you write to them, they write back to you, and then you guys start a conversation around, okay, how do we get a franchise? Because they are popular and it's not international, people will want to, be part of what you are doing. So what's the risk in franchising? Yeah, is that if these businesses begin to, of course they are buying your franchise, but if the business begins to gain popularity, the risk is that you might build competition, and then as soon as the franchising period elapses, they switch over to their own brand and they move on. So what it means is that you have just built a competition in another region. So that's just, but on the flip side, you know what it means to understand the trade secret of McDonald's. You can only get that through franchising. So you see that it also saves you costs, you will not even be able to do it if you don't have that franchising right, because they will give you all the formulas. You have to be trained. The same way we do it there is the same way we do it here. If we make shoes, the same kind of leather texture. Some people might know leather texture, but that's just the way you have mechanic and you have producer. Your mechanic cannot produce that car. They can go and mail, they can weld and put it into, but they can't produce that thing that you have gotten, So, but if that mechanic is taken overseas to where they are producing these things, trust me now, maybe through a franchise, they would know how those things are done. Perhaps they may not have the money to set up, but of course, they'll be able to do that if they have that same plant in their own locality. Leasing could be that, so you go there, set up, and then lease it out for a particular period of time. So that's another way to unlock. And at this time, for you to lease, if you're on the other side, you need to have money to be able to do that. The strategic alliance. Strategic alliance is one of the easiest. It also has its own risk. So you are here, you sell shoes, you do this, you're maybe you're in healthcare, you're in agric, and then you want to get your products, or you want to leverage on the strength of maybe from Crowdy, just for instance now, just mentioning for example, you go into strategic alliances with them. So being in a strategic alliance, it means it's just like having boyfriend and girlfriend. They are not married though. It's boyfriend and girlfriend. They can call relationship at any time. They're not married. They just have, we like ourselves for this period. They're not married. So there's no legal thing putting us together. We're just, are just having a good time as friends and what's not. That's how strategic alliance looks like. So there is no financial commitment on both ends, but you are leveraging your strengths one way or the other. But now the downside to this is strategic alliance is sometimes in a relationship, one person gives more than the other. And of course, if the relationship goes sour, what it means is that you might have given more than you should have. So that's just the risk. But one way to be able to unlock global market is through strategic alliances. The easiest way to get it done, to touch different regions, is the easiest and fastest. Want to start with that first, because of course it costs you little or nothing. But of course, like I said, as I share the different ways, I also share the disadvantage of the but of course you can't definitely have 100%. So you decide the one that works for you part time. Another way is joint venture. Joint venture is all of us are going to come and then we'll put our resources together. Now, for instance, especially for organizations, we are expanding to a country. Their policy in that country may not afford you to be able to play 100% because they can't just give you 100% control rights in this industry. So they will ask you to come to do a JV. If it's government related, we'll do an SPV. So you see some of these oil companies when they come, you see JV with NNPC and the like, because they can't come and give you 100% right. No. So this is how those guys also came to our countries too, through joint venture. That's the way you can also do the same. To also mention that some of these things start with emails, WhatsApp chat, Facebook chat, LinkedIn. You see where technology is coming into play so that we don't lose that. We're looking at the leveraging on technology, how you can start and initiate this process. Look for an organization that looks like what you want to go into, any of these things, and then begin to write to them. Send them an email. If it's LinkedIn, you send them an email. If you have access to their mail, you can also call them. You can also, maybe they have the WhatsApp. Some of them, when you go to their website, they have access to you to chat them on through a bot that takes you maybe to WhatsApp or something like that. That's another way to start. Another way is direct investment. This one, you are saying that, I'm the Odogu. I'm going to go there and spend all the money. If it comes to building plants, we'll build the plants. We're going to get your local expert there. Or if you're bringing your own expert, you pay them at their standard rates, their payment rates. So this is, you gain everything you want to gain, but sometimes it's actually very risky because you bear the entire risk in case your investment goes south. Okay, so these are the different ways. There are also more, the 5 different ways that you can unlock international markets. You can unlock a multinational market, you can unlock a multi-domestic market, or you can unlock a global market. So you decide the one that works for you. I already discussed the high-level strategy on these different markets and how you can then look at entering those different markets. Yeah, like I said, I want to take questions, and that's why I hope I've never gone beyond the time that I plan to. I don't know if I'm still on time. So thank you very much. I have to stop here so that we can take questions. I'll just go. I think I see a question. How do I assess businesses that have interest in my location? They have, okay, of course, you can put it out. Sometimes you put it out. You can do a design and then put it out to say, okay, if you're interested in this, I'm open to this. You can put it out online, okay? Because part they might not know. You can also speak to people as well. Do you know anybody who does this, who does that, who does this, that will be interested in this and that and that? So also by one-on-one communication can help you that. Like I also say, you can do a design and you can also promote it. If you are really key, you find people that you have similar interest, and then you can work together with. So like I said, one-on-one, asking people around. If you have people who have a lot of reach, you can also tell them, maybe they can put on their WhatsApp status too. That's another way. Some people have their WhatsApp status has a very big, not necessarily a lot of reach in terms of numbers, but in terms of the quality of people that they can actually get across to. They also have friends too. So those are different ways in which you can, not limited to what I've mentioned, but those are a few words I'll be mentioning on the call. So I'm awaiting more questions because I'm done. So that we can take questions within the time band that I still have, so that I can respect the time allotted to me. So I'm expecting questions.
Okay, do we have any question? Please, can you please unmute yourself and so that we can call you. Questions? Okay. Maybe while they are getting ready to ask more questions, just want to say thank you to Mr. Jesse Ogabu. I learned a lot from this session, and I can say with my full chest that you have even given idea to some new businesses that people who are on this call, on this loop, can take advantage of. You actually said a lot of things, and while you were busy taking care of those areas, I also actually penned down some things which I feel that this will be very, very relevant to those who at least are planning on at least trying to open up themselves for the global. I just want to add that for those people who want to be entrepreneurs in the global age, based on what the first speaker said, I would say that it's very, very important that as an entrepreneur or as a would-be entrepreneur who wants to get global visibility, you need to increase your visibility online. What I mean is that you need to use internet very well. Internet is a very great resource because the age we are is an age where there are too many information that is available. And you even see that many people are also talking about information overload and so on and so forth, that there are too many information. So depending on the ones you want to have access to, the informations are there for you. And also, it is very important that you use the internet very well. For those in Nigeria, forget about BAT, Tinubu, forget about Peter Obi, forget about Atiku. If you want better Nigeria, just take your PVC on the day of election, go and vote. Don't use your space to discuss issues that will not add anything to you, whether you like it or not. These people have already gotten to their peak. You are just giving them more publicity the more. Use your space to sell what you have and not to engage in so many other discussions. And also, you also need to do what? Network. Like today now, there will still be opportunity for us to network and get to know some people. At least I can see people from Malawi and some other countries that joined and as well spoken to me before this conference. It is another way for us to leverage on what we have. And also, you need to be different in whatever you do. Use all that has been said by this first speaker. I penned down a lot of things that he talked about on how to be a global entrepreneur, to stay ahead of local competitors, to expand presence, to increase profitability. He said a lot of things. Then it's also good for us to do visibility studies. So, Sadis, I must say thank you. And while you're still on this call, I think there's a question already. So maybe you help us answer that question before we move on.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll take this question. So how do I deal with competitors in international markets, especially the ones that have a wider sales and cover a larger ground? What kind of strategy should I use? So there's a strategy called your niche play. Okay, so they have big box, right? So they can do marketing and the like. So you need to niche play. So look for that niche in which you can gain their interest. So take, for instance, I don't know what you do. You could, of course, every business have what they call CSR, right? You could design an initiative that would be speaking to a particular locality, maybe as a social impact or impact investing. So impact investing means that, so from the ones that you make, maybe for instance, you make 1,000 naira, you can set out 100 naira, for instance, right? I'm just giving this, I'm sure you make bigger bucks than that. And then design a social interventions for a particular region, and then begin to niche play. By the time you do that, people then they connect to your brand. So regardless of that external competition, they remember this is our own. It comes to this locality to support us. So you can start with that. If this is applicable to you. If it's not applicable to you, for what I just said, that's approach one. Approach two could be, it's around niche play because they have money to do that volume of publicity. that you can do, that critical mass. Their publicity can actually get to critical mass. Maybe they can get an influencer that has 500,000 or 1 million, and you can do that. You need to get what you need to think about is getting into the minds of the people that you serve. Do proper segmentation and say that, okay, I'm looking at people within the ages of this and this, maybe they're young people. And then you can then initiate a campaign. And that's on that way, initiate a campaign, speak to them regularly, let the people who are of their age bracket speak to them about your product, the service that you render, so long that they are part of the market that you need. If they're not part of the market that you need, that might be you just throwing money away. If it's the market that's, okay, for instance, maybe you sell from the big brands, you know that in your locality, about 2 spaces for aged people, okay? And of course, maybe aged people within your area are people who you speak the same dialects with. So you set up a campaign of maybe 3 or 4 months in, and they can go door to door, begin to speak about the positive impact of using local this thing and what it does to them and all of all that. But then you do that consistently over time, even if you bring international, they will not be able to penetrate, because why? They are seeing you. Grassroots, and that's the word. Grassroots sometimes can beat that very big international stuff. So that's another. Those are 2 ways I have mentioned. The other ways, but let me stop at these 2.
All right, thank you very much. Well, there will still be time to interact with you, maybe before the end of the program. So let me just call on the second speaker who has been waiting to talk to us, and I believe the participants both on Zoom here and on YouTube are well charged to listen to him. We have Mr. He's an engineer, but I want to call him Mr. because he's actually someone who loves to be, just coded like hair, but he's an engineer. So let me introduce to us the second speaker. His name is Toyib Adelodun. He's a civil engineer with a decade of experience in UK construction and personal development coach. And then for those people who are on social media, you know that he has put up a lot of articles on his life, how he grew up, from grass to grace, how he was able to get himself to where he is, despite the opportunities that he was denied, not because there was, but because of the challenges of life. Meaning that wherever you find yourself, irrespective of the level of position you find yourself, that does not stop you from getting to where you need to get to. So you're going to hear more of this from me. So please join me as I introduce to us the next speaker, Mr. Toyib Adelodun. You are welcome. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, they can hear you, but they are muted, so I believe they can hear you.
Oh, right, great. I just said, because we are a little bit short of time, let me go straight into the slide. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you to everyone, the organizers, the participants, and our previous speaker. I was taking a lot of notes on conquering international markets. Thank you so much for that. I might pop with some questions as well later on. So I said I should go straight into the slide so we can get going. So an entrepreneur trying to relocate, what is the plan ahead? How do you go about it? What are the opportunities that are available? So I'm just going to do a brief story about myself. My name is Toyib Adewale Adelodun. Ati Adelodun is my handle everywhere. I do personal development coaching. I've worked in the UK as a site engineer, as a project engineer, working with the project management team on various infrastructure projects, high-end fit out and different dimensions of projects, really. That is my background. I'll share a bit of my story. I was born and raised in Mushin. It's very difficult to live in the Southwest and not know Mushin. I think it's one area where there is a lot of challenges, and We are hopeful things get better, but at the moment, you could call it a slum, but great things are happening. We are doing a lot of work with organizations down there. My parents had no university education. I had a very, very tough upbringing due to financial challenges. But something happened around the year 2000 and 2002. That was when the internet came to Nigeria. So I would say a combination of the internet, continuous education, and continuous learning has really, really helped me. So I'm going to share a little bit of how that works and what we can do in terms of developing ourselves and growing. So hopefully we can learn from each other and we can share a lot of information. So if we are looking at the global economy and the African child, what are the challenges that are available? You know, I think Tosin was telling us earlier about challenges, economical challenges in terms of what happened before COVID, what happened after COVID, and where COVID has left us as Africans, you know, in terms of the economy. If you go down to Zimbabwe, if you go down to South Africa, if you go down to Ghana, you know, everybody is talking about high inflation and high unemployment, which has a very, very huge effect on the economic situation, and it affects all of us in general. So we have a continent of the highest number of young people. In the whole world, there is no place with a higher concentration of young people than Africa. And ironically and sadly, there is no continent with the highest unemployment other than Africa. Earlier this decade, I think it was the African Development Bank that did a statistics, they put out some statistics to say over 100 million people are unemployed in Africa. So you can see that that is a very, very staggering number. Even the Bureau of Statistics last year, they said that 23 million Nigerians are unemployed. So if you say 23 million Nigerians are unemployed, that is the population, that is more, it's not even the population, it is more than the population of Togo, Benin Republic, and the Gambia all combined. So when you now see these economic challenges, and then you look at how things are going, and then you say, okay, I'm an entrepreneur, what can I do to open up myself to global opportunities? How can I break through in spite of all these challenges? And that's part of the things that I'll be talking about in terms of you traveling or in terms of you breaking into global opportunities. So what are the key things that are entrepreneurial challenges? We are looking at contacts. You know, when you are local, when you are not spread around, when you don't know people all over the world, you are now short of contacts. And they always say it is not what you know, it's who you know. A lot of people that went to Harvard Business School, a lot of them have met people that they became business partners. Some people went to, you know, the Ivy League school or the Russell groups in the UK. You go to that kind of school, you might meet your co-partner that you be a founder there. You can do so many things if you have the right contacts. Some people have contacts with policymakers, and it helps them. If you look at the people that have worked with the US government, and you think, oh, a lot of these people that have worked with the US government on the financial part, maybe Treasury Secretary, and you see that they've worked for companies like Goldman Sachs before. Or if you look at the people that have become UK prime ministers, and you see that they've studied at Oxford and Cambridge. So you now look at those contacts, you know. Boris Johnson used to be in the same university with David Cameron, used to be in the same university with Michael Gove. You see those kind of contacts, how things like that work at the higher level. So those are the kind of things that could be a challenge if you are not international and if you are just local. The second one is access to finance and credit. We know how hard it is for entrepreneurs to get finance when they are trying to raise rounds, or they are trying to do business, or they are trying to, you know, they are trying to expand their business. It is sometimes very, very hard for entrepreneurs to raise access to finance. How does you traveling abroad help you with this kind of things? And those are the kind of things we will be sharing this afternoon. So we are now talking about, we've talked about challenges. Now, what are the opportunities that are available? I would say that as much as we have challenges, this is the best time to be alive. And they always say it is better to prepare for an opportunity and not have it than to have an opportunity and not be prepared. So what are the opportunities that are available? First of all, and I think the previous speaker also mentioned this very well, the world is now more connected than ever before. If you understand this clearly, the world is extremely much more connected than ever before. We must do our best to take advantage of this. One of the things that I found out then was that I can be in Mushin, or I can be in Abuja, and I'll be attending classes in Oxford or in Cambridge online. These are kind of things that were not possible 10, 15 years ago. These opportunities are there now. A friend of mine from Sokoto got a job in Switzerland, right from Sokoto. He applied in Sokoto and he got a job in Switzerland. He resumed there last month. These are opportunities that were not there 5, 15 years ago. So if you are able to harness the internet, as the previous speaker was also saying, you will be able to tap into global opportunities that you can take advantage of and better yourself. Secondly, the venture capital space has been active in Africa in the last year. African startups raised $5.2 billion last year. This is a staggering amount of money. That means if you have something that can attract people, that can attract investors from all over the world, you are easily seen today because of the internet, as the previous speaker was saying. If you open yourself up, if you're using the internet correctly, you're using social media correctly, you will attract venture capital funding if your business is doing well enough. There are people that have met their venture capital, their VCs on Twitter, just because they are using Twitter to share their business. There was one of our brothers that used to do that is doing chess in the slum, Sunday Onakoya. He uses Twitter a lot to showcase, to tell the stories of what they are doing, and they have been attracting funding from all around the world. Someone even mentioned him as far as Goldman Sachs for funding because of the work they are doing. So if you are now able to come abroad and study abroad or work abroad for some time being, you will be able to see how businesses are done in other countries. You can meet a lot of students that can end up becoming your startup partners, that can end up becoming your business partners. These things can happen if you are able to expose yourself globally, maybe by virtue of coming here for a while as a student or working here for a while, for a couple of years. You will be able to see how things are done in other parts of the world and how you can up your game, how you can develop yourself, and how you can just go viral and go global by virtue of the things you see in terms of the way other countries are doing their things. In the UK, for example, tech roles have become like, I used to say when we were young, the Sultan of Brunei was the richest person in the world. But today, if you look at the top 6 richest person in the world, they all made their money from tech. You're talking of Bill Gates, you're talking of Jeff Bezos, you're talking of Elon Musk, you're talking of Larry Page, the guys that own Google, Sergey Brin, and things like that. Tech has created wealth for so many people in the last couple of years. Today on my Twitter space, I put up about 15 roles because I used to get jobs and post them on the internet just for people that can apply. And these jobs have got visa sponsorship. There were jobs there in Netherlands, there were jobs there in Germany, there were jobs there in the UK, and they're saying, we want this talent and we want to sponsor their visa. So according to Tech Nation, there were 2 million vacancies for tech roles between May 2021 and 2022, and that is in the UK alone. So these opportunities are spread wide in the tech sector and in other areas as well, where you can come in and work, get experience, make contacts, and if you want to come back, you can grow your business as well. And with the internet, you can always run your business from anywhere. Let me give you an example. A cousin of mine, I haven't seen him in a couple of years, so I caught up with him in London the other day just to see how he was doing and things like that. And I saw him on his phone checking something. I said, what are you checking? Apparently, he had a CCTV installed in his farm in Ibadan. That farm is in Ibadan, and he's watching everything that is happening on that farm on his phone in London. This is what technology has brought. So they cannot tell him that one cow is missing or one goat is missing, because he can see all the goats. He just needs to rewind, fast forward, and look at, okay, where did this goat go? Who took this goat out of the fence? How did this goat get missing? So internet and technology has made it able for you, even if you are going out to study or if you are going out to work, your business can still be working fine whilst you are getting that exposure that you need to grow your business. So part of the opportunities that are available is that the UK did an international education strategy report, and they said they wanted 600,000 international students to come to the UK to study annually. Last year, they did more than 600,000. So that means they hit that number even earlier than they thought they were going to. They were planning by 2030, but last year, bam, they hit that number. Even the number of visas that they issued to Nigerians this year, I don't think they've done that number in the last 5 years. They are issuing that visa because after COVID-19 and after they left European Union, there were a lot of opportunities for people to come into work in the care sector, in the tech sector, and other sectors like that, because previously the Europeans used to fill that space. But at the moment, now that they've left the EU, it is an advantage for us that are from the Commonwealth. So that is the 600,000 bit. They also launched, the EU launched the Blue Card scheme because they found themselves that they now have an aging population. They are looking for people that can come in, young people that can come in, that can pay tax, that can do all that. But the way I see it is that if these countries are looking for people, personally, for us as young Africans, we just want to develop ourselves. So if we go there and work and pay tax, we take advantage of all the facilities that are there to develop ourselves, you know, and it is a win-win for both parties. We become more valuable in the marketplace. We get more exposure for our business as we want it, and they get what they want because we are there working in the economy and pay tax. Everybody is happy. Also, France also launched the Global Talent Visa. The UK also have the Global Talent Visa, which increases the opportunities for people to come in from all around the world and benefit from what the West has to offer. How did the Indians do it? I always like to cite the Indians example. How did they do it? Because they got a lot of CEOs of Indian backgrounds in the US. If you talk of the CEO of Google, Sundar Pichai, CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, ex-CEO of Pepsi, Indra Nooyi, CEO of MasterCard, Ajay Banga, CEO of Sun Microsystems, Vinod Khosla. How were they able to achieve that over the last 10, 15 years that they've been able to dominate Silicon Valley? So the template they use is very, very simple. Once they study hard in their degree and they have a good grade, they go and write the GRE and GMAT. And once they do that, they get a scholarship to study in a top US university. There where they do their master's and their PhD, and then they walk up their way into these multinational companies. Even Twitter, the new CEO of Twitter has a PhD in computer science, Parag. So these are the ways the Indians are able to use education to work their way into the system and then use that position that they have to benefit their country. Google is investing about $10 billion in India over the next couple of years. And you will know that their CEO will be a party to how that is happening. Those are the kind of opportunities we are talking about. So I'll just kind of run through the scholarship opportunities that are available. There's this website up there for icu.org. If you are looking to use education, it has all the universities around the world where you can go by country, search for the university, look at what the university is asking for, check the country's embassy in Nigeria, look at what they are asking for as well, because we all come from different backgrounds. For some people, it will be America that will suit them best. For some people, it will be the UK. For some people, it will be Finland. For some people, it will be Sweden, based on the requirements of the embassy. So if you go through for ICU.org, you see different countries and different schools and what they require. So part of the scholarships that are in Europe that is worthy of note, Erasmus Mundus scholarship is fully funded. I know quite a number of people that have benefited from this scholarship. It's fully funded. They pay for your flight, they pay for your school fees, they pay everything. They still give you about 1,000 euros every month to enjoy yourself. I know people that have benefited from this, and they do that every year. They have a Facebook page, Erasmus Mundus Nigeria, where you can meet up with people that have won those scholarships and have some education from them. We also have the DAD scholarship, which is basically in Germany and then in other parts of Europe as well. The Hungarian Stipendum scholarship, the Swiss government scholarship, the Turkish government scholarship, the Romanian government scholarship, and the Finland scholarship as well with studyinfo.fi. By January, they'll start taking applications as well. The UK scholarship, you have the British Chevening scholarship, the MasterCard Foundation scholarship, Mo Ibrahim scholarship, Erasmus Mundus as well, because they also do some bits in the UK. London School of Economics have got scholarships as well. So as Cambridge and Oxford. So there are opportunities there that you can access. So that was study opportunities. Now let me just talk about work opportunities as well. In terms of work, almost all Western countries, as I've said before, they've got like highly skilled programs where they want people that are skilled to come into their country and work and contribute to the economy. And whilst we come there as an entrepreneur, we go there to learn, we go there to expose ourselves, we go there to soak up knowledge, just to have an understanding of how these people are doing their things. If you look at a lot of people that have come down to start startups in Nigeria, like there's this app called Paga that they use in Nigeria. Their CEO, Tayo Obiosu, used to work for Cisco, I think. So going there to get that kind of knowledge has helped him to come down to Nigeria and build something very viable. So in the tech space, there's a lot of opportunities. In nursing, there's a lot of opportunities as well, same as engineering and also in academia. So people that have got like masters, they can go in and do their PhD and go to like work in universities in the UK, get that knowledge, get that exposure in terms of research, and come back and use that to blow their business. Because whether we like it or not, Africa is growing, Africa is developing, and Africa is the new frontier because of how young our population is and how big our markets are becoming. So the people that have this knowledge, after gathering it from the West, gathering it from the East, the people that will be at the forefront of our business in the next couple of years are people that have seen it all, people that have experience both in Nigeria and both abroad. So it will be very, very good if we can take advantage of these opportunities. So that is all I have for you for now. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll be hanging around if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that very short, brief, educative, and then enlightening speech, which I believe most of participants, both on YouTube and Zoom, have really been able to take notes of one or two things. If you have questions for him as well, you can actually unmute yourself to ask, or possibly you send a message to the chat box, and or either for him or for the other speaker. And from all that has been said today, you can see that when we are talking about entrepreneur in the global age, it's beyond our locality. I remember vividly, someone spoke to me, a lady, that she wanted to be an entrepreneur, but people, family members, friends deserted her and they didn't help her to achieve her dream. And I asked, what's your dream? She said her dream is to become a popular and a known a decorator, and nobody's ready to pay or give her money to go and get herself the necessary skills for her to be able to do it. And I asked her, I said, are you a Christian or a Muslim? I had to go the religious way because, you know, in Nigeria, everything has to go through religion. So she said she's a Christian. I said, which church do you attend? She mentioned her church, and I asked, in your church, is there a decoration unit? She said yes, and they do decorate the church. I said, why don't you join them and start learning from them? You don't need to actually pay to join a unit in your church. They will use you for some time, you get the knowledge, and you start charging people, and you make money from it. She looked at me, she said, oh, I don't understand. And what she's saying is that she needs money to go and enroll. So invariably, many people have opportunities around them, but they are short-sighted, and this usually affects. Like the first speaker mentioned, that there are so many people who have relocated to Canada, to US, to UK, and many other countries, and that they cannot do without Nigerian food. Many of them order Nigerian food from Nigeria, while there are some restaurants abroad as well that sells local food and at a very expensive rate. And people go there to eat, and they are making money. So there are ways by which you can think outside the box and say, okay, what am I doing? Like the example that he made of Farmers Online. Anywhere you are in the world, you can just go to that site, look at what they are selling, order for it, and you get to your doorstep, whichever country you find yourself. So these are new markets, these are leverages, these are ideas from Nigerians, and all these things are doing very, very well. So when we talk about entrepreneur in a global age, there are so many opportunities around us. For instance, you were made editor of a magazine in your association, in your school, in your office, and so on and so forth. As the editor means you are the one that will be in charge of compiling all the materials. You are the one that is going to work with the printer and every other thing. Now, when you are done with that particular publication, you have learned how to actually single-handedly do something like that. Now, in that case, you can actually say, oh, for people that want to do this, you can actually provide them the opportunity of getting materials for them, editing the materials, and getting a printer, and they pay for the service. So, but people don't think or don't look within all these things because they feel that once government don't give me money, then I won't be able to. Many people have said that, oh, because Bank of Industry has refused them loans and support, then that's why they were unable to achieve your dream. But you don't need to look at that, because you heard from the last speaker that said, if you look at Mushi in the last 10 years, so many people that came out of Mushi are now doing very well. I'm sorry I have to use this kind of example, but Pastor E. Adeboye of Redeemed Church was from Mushi. He started from Mushi and everything grew. The last speaker said he stayed in Mushi. Even sometimes when you go on the social media page, you will see pictures of where he stayed. I'm sure most people that are listening to this program or they are watching, I'm sure that most of you cannot even stay in that kind of place. But today, the story has changed. So when we are talking about global, we are saying that there are so many opportunities beyond our limited location. And we all need to be able to see this, because the first thing you need to do is to be able to see beyond where you find yourself. If you are unable to see beyond that place, then it becomes a problem. But once you have started seeing beyond, once you have started using internet for your advantage, started looking for opportunities and so on and so forth, then you are already gradually living those lives that you think will not add value to your life. So an entrepreneur in a global age is you, is me. An entrepreneur in global age is not the person that has the capital to make money. It's not the person that has the skill or the idea to make money. Now, for instance, let's say you have plan to japa, and let's say in the next 6 months or 1 year, you want to leave the country you find yourself, because not only Nigerians are on this call. I can see people from other countries. I can see people from Malawi. I saw somebody from Ghana. Yes, somebody also from Estonia. Then one of our speakers is from UK, and virtually there are some other people from Nigeria and so on like that. So we are not talking to just a local audience now, we are talking to an international audience. So now let's say the country that you find yourself, before you travel, you decided to enroll yourself to learn a particular skill for 2 months, so that by the time you are traveling, you have gained in additional 1 or 2 skills. And irrespective of the work you are going to be doing where you are going to, added to those skills, you can also make money. Many people don't look at all these sides. I remember vividly when a car was to be brought to Nigeria for me, and they need to fix something for me, and they said just something that dropped, just for them to fix it back. The man requested for $60. Do you know how much is $60 in Nigeria today? When most of us will take our car to mechanic and give them 1,000, 2,000 naira as workmanship. There's somebody abroad that is going to do something for 5 minutes, is requesting for $60. And if you don't do it on time, he has other works that is meant to attend to. So you can see that some of the skills that you have in Nigeria that people don't recognize, globally they are looking for it. And that's why you need to look at the global market where there's a scarcity of that idea in that area, and you'll be like a king in those areas. There's so many people that are doing the same thing in Nigeria here today. Many people in the same area. Why there are so many areas where there's scarcity of all those ideas and people are looking for them. So as partner for this program, we need to start thinking outside the box. We need to start seeing ourselves as a global leader. We need to start thinking about I can also tell you a friend of mine who did his BSc, Masters and PhD. Now he said because he does not have that international relevance, he wants to go to Harvard to go and do a degree so that he can balance that one with all the local experience that he had. So people are thinking global. The internet is there for you to help you. There are so many people, like one of our speakers, that is always sharing opportunities that will not cost you one naira. For you to see the opportunity that is sharing, is not asking for money. He is not asking, but they are just there. So all you need to do is just that for you to be able to put your priorities right. These are the pages I want to be following. These are the pages that are adding more value to my lives. These are the pages I can get 1 or 2 things or the other. Not just monitoring people up and down. There are people that you call monitoring spirit. You check people's Facebook, Instagram, the movement, what they do, and all those things. And all those things does not add anything to you. Let's say you are doing that for Elon Musk, or you are doing that one for Mark Zuckerberg and so on. And these are people that you know what they have done. So if you are looking after people that are greater than you, they are good. But if you just look at people just to waste your internet and time on other things that are frivolities, they are not good for you. So I think from today's program, you have been able to see more sides. So when we talk about Japapreneur, that is somebody who is thinking of living where he is to another place. And as you are leaving your place to another place, you are also thinking of the value you can take there in order to be able to make your brand a global one. And the first speaker also talked about using tech, how you can use it to also expand your global reach and the advantages that are there. All these things has been said. So I don't know if we have 1 or 2 questions. Let's take the questions. If there are no questions, we'll just probably go to a breakout session before we end the entire thing, and there can be introduction. You can introduce ourselves, what we do, and we can, if there is need for us to ask 1 or 2 questions, that will just take between 5 and 10 minutes, and with that, we'll be coming to the end of the program. So I don't know if we have anyone who is willing to, or who is planning to ask any question before we move to the next stage. Any question from any of our audience? And if for you to be able to take advantage of all these things, you need knowledge is power. And I'm sure that with knowledge, we have so many things to gain. And knowledge is not just a one-time thing. It's something that we keep learning. We keep developing ourselves. We keep making ourselves better. You can only make yourself better if you try to work on yourself, what you do every day, and you try to get better at what you are doing. It's also very good for you to look at where you are today, look at where you are yesterday. Is there any progress in where you are, and so on? You can look at all these things. And we also need to stop looking at what an organization, what the government will do for us. Start thinking about what you can do for yourself. And I'm sure that the Nigerians that are on this call actually understand what I'm trying to say better. Because virtually in Nigeria, people get everything for themselves. People try to build road for themselves in their compound, in their street, try to grade their road because government has refused to do it. People provide light for themselves. They try to power their house with generator because there won't be 24 hours light. Now, it doesn't just stop like that. You are also the one paying for your internet that you are using to connect. Not just the internet that you're also using. Virtually everything that you use is as a result of what you are doing for yourself. So now, Nigerians are the best example in the world of people who can do things themselves that does not rely. So if that's the case, that's the same mindset of an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur does not wait before he takes the next step. He's thinking globally. He's acting in a global way, thinking of getting himself to the international community, international society. And how can this be done? Now, for people in their 20s, in their 30s, you are in an age where you need to make yourself known through the internet. Let people know you with something. Let them know you about that. This is about you. Improve yourself. Let them understand. Let them know you. Not that you are neither here nor there, and try to create a visibility for yourself. This is very, very important. There are skills. You need to acquire a lot of skills. Even if you have acquired like 20 skills and nothing is coming up, you need to keep acquiring skills. One of my mentees got promoted to a directorship position, a very young guy. Why? Because he has done 99 certification in the last 4 years. And when they were trying to do a review of promotion in their office and they saw those things, they had no choice other than to take him above people that have been in the organization before them. Why? 99 certification. The guy has spent a whole lot of money developing himself. So this is also something that is very, very important that we also need to take a very good eye and think about how to make ourselves relevant. So do you have any question before we move to next stage? Questions? All right, so we are going to be going to breakout sessions now. So please, let's get to introduce ourselves, get to know ourselves better, and then before we, thank you. Yeah, sorry, I'm having some technical issues, so please just bear with me. I'll get to the root of the matter in a few seconds. Okay. All right, because of time, let me just appreciate everyone. Might not be going to breakout sessions because of the technical issues I'm having with my system right here. And I must say thank you to everyone that has make this program a success. And let me say thank you to Mr. Toyib Adelodun. He's actually on all the social media. You can follow him on Tadelodun on Twitter, on Facebook, and so on. And also, JC Ogabu is also on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and Instagram. You can also find me on Facebook. Can look for search for Tosin Adeshile, but on Twitter, I'm also Tosin Adeshile on Twitter. So you can also see me on Facebook and Instagram. So for questions, comment, contributions, please don't hesitate please, you can send a mail to yolecub@gmail.com, and definitely will get back to you if there's any question. And if you need also, we'll be able to share some of the slides that have been used today by our speakers. If they oblige me, that will be sent to everybody's email address. And if you need to get across to any of the speakers, I would seek their indulgence to share with you their contact materials and every other thing. So once again, I want to say thank you to everyone that have been part of this short but very energetic and powerful, because when you look at the quality of people who have spoken to us today, you see how top-notch their speeches and so on have been. So I want to say thank you to everyone. I want to say thank you to Achisong from Malawi. Thank you so much for joining us. It's really a pleasure having you, and also every other person that I hear. We value you so much and appreciate you. So until next time, when we come together again for such seminars or topics that are very germane on entrepreneurship, on the youth, on the global village, I remain Tosin Adeshile. Once again, thank you. Appreciate you. God bless.